everybody. Welcome back to Let's Learn About Food. I'm Keegan, and today we got a special episode. I got my buddy Kevin here. Kevin's an old roommate of mine. He used to live in my basement. He now lives out of state, but he comes back here once a month just to eat my food and hang out for the evening, and today happens to be that day. So as per request of him, brisket chili with the leftover brisket that I had.
I'm excited. I couldn't think of anything better.
Let's get rolling. All right, buddy, so the first thing we need to talk about when we're making chili is how to season it. By the time you put enough chili pepper, cumin, and all those pre-ground spices in there to make your chili taste good, you get kind of like a gritty mouthfeel with it, and it's not that great. The solution to that is dried chili. Dried chilies look intimidating at first, but they're not. They're actually really easy to work with.
Horrifying.
You can use whatever chilies you like, but you want like kind of a good mix. I have a couple of pasilla chilies here. I've got a chili de árbol, which is gonna bring pretty much just heat. Cooking for the wife and kids as well. So we can, if it was just me and him, we'd be using a lot more of these.
Oh yeah.
I've got some guajillo chilies here. I've got a couple of hatch chilies or New Mexico chilies, and then a couple of ancho chilies. The ones I for sure always include are the ancho, the pasilla if I can find them, and the guajillos. So what you do is you're gonna take the top and rip that part off, and you just wanna get all the seeds out of them. Tear them into kind of, I don't know, inch and a half pieces. You don't want them super dry. If they're like brittle and falling apart, that typically means that they're old. They're probably losing some flavor. You actually want them like this where they're kind of leathery as you peel them apart. And even if your peppers are dry, it's still okay, just use them. So, we got all that separated. Now we're heading over to the stove.
So this is just dry right now. You don't add anything else?
Yep, so right now what we're doing is we're just toasting these. We're just going over like medium heat or so. We just want them until they're fragrant. We don't want them smoking. We don't want them to like take on any color or anything. Yeah. We just want them to start smelling like chilies. What we're doing is essentially awakening the spice. You'll smell it here in just a sec. Get in there with a little sniff.
Little love. Ooh.
See?
What are you, nuts?
Starting to change smells a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then once they're all fragrant like that, I got just some beef stock here. If you don't have any homemade beef stock, then you can use water, or you could use chicken stock as well.
So I have never come close to making chili like this. Like, it's always just, let me get 6 to 12 cans of beans, some tomato paste, a little S&P.
This is about how hard it is. We're almost done with making the chili base. All right, buddy. Then once it's up to a boil, all you're gonna do is go ahead and cover that, take it off the heat, let it sit there for 15 or 20 minutes until they're soft. Do you want to chop the onion?
I do not want to chop it.
Not
even
know that.
No, I'm a big old and I don't even know how to wield it. You said peanut butter and Lay's. Yeah. How hard is it to make peanut butter?
Really easy.
It's just peanuts?
Hold
on, the ingredients list is just peanuts?
It's literally just peanuts. We talk about natural foods. It's mostly what we eat. You can make peanut butter by putting peanuts into a food processor, coming back 8 minutes later and it's done.
That is the coolest news I've heard this year.
Yeah. What we're doing right now is called mise en place. It means put in place. Gather all your stuff. Get all your stuff ready before you start going. We always chop all our vegetables and get those ready to go. That way when we turn the heat on, we can be confident. Makes cooking really stress-free. Onion done, a couple jalapenos here. But if you are cutting jalapenos and you're not wearing gloves, wash your hands before you touch your eyes or use a restroom. I've made that mistake a few times.
What a rough mistake to make.
So we got our onion and jalapenos all chopped. And guess what you get to do?
What do I get to do?
This job usually falls to my wife, but since you're here, you can peel garlic. My general rule of thumb is if you're reading a recipe, however much garlic it says in it, you just double that. I don't think I've ever in my life tasted something that said, this is really good, but I wish it had less garlic in it. And then it would be better. I don't think that's ever happened to me. Easiest way to do garlic, smash it. You kind of have to get a feel for this. But if you get a nice feel for it, you just kind of take the back of your knife and just kind of pop it a little lightly like that. It'll crack it open.
Pull it.
The skin will come right off. All we've got here is our toasted chilies, and we're just going to pour them in here. Use like a lid. And blend. Look how happy we are.
I know.
Sometimes certain things, taking the extra step to toast your own spices and grind them makes a big difference. This, in my opinion, being one of those times. Spices are really up to you. I keep it pretty minimal. This gets most of the flavor from the chilies. Yeah, I'm gonna use cumin and coriander seed, like I said, fresh toasted and ground. I'm gonna use a little bit of smoked paprika. I don't need any chili powder or anything like that because we've already got all that flavor in our chili base. Let's get it toasted. I like it.
seeing eye to eye. Into each other's arms.
Goofy movie soundtrack. What a movie. Should we turn this into a movie review show slash... I hope y'all like 90s movies. Spices ground up. Get ready to go in. We've got almost all of our mise en place, which means...
Stuff in place.
So last thing we're going to do before we get to actually cooking is we're going to get our umami boosters ready. You know what umami means?
I do not.
Umami is that like fifth flavor. What I've got here is some anchovies, some marmite, and some soy sauce. All three of these things are super high in glutamic acid. And glutamic acid is basically it's what makes meat taste like meat.
Okay.
And I've learned that this is a game changer in chili. I'm also going to stir this all together with a little bit of tomato paste, and then we'll stir into our chili at the end. I don't know, about that many anchovies. And all I'm going to do is just take the back of a fork and just mash them up. If you got anybody that's turning their nose up going, ew, anchovies, try this. I promise you. You can do this in like raising some short ribs, really any meaty soups, spaghetti, meatloaf, marmite. And then I'll probably just use a teaspoon or so of soy sauce, a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. So all we're doing is we're stirring this little bit together. Between that and your homemade chili paste, you're good to go. So we need some fat in the bottom of the pan. So you can use whatever you want. I'm using the beef tallow that I rendered out from the brisket that I cooked the other day. We're gonna saute some veggies in it. Gonna add our onions and jalapenos. All right, so we're just gonna let these saute down. We're not trying to get like any color on them really or anything. We're just basically letting them get soft.
Yeah. Oh, listen that sizzle.
Yes, sir. So the last minute or so that this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and crush in our copious amounts of garlic. This is a lot of garlic, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of garlic. We'll put about a tablespoon of oregano in there.
And always season hand to bowl.
Yes, actually. Got the steam coming up right here?
Yeah.
That will get in and it makes your spices
Oh,
cake
hell.
up. Yep, so if you pour a little in your hand, plus then you don't accidentally pour in too much. We're gonna go ahead and dump these spices in now as well. Now we're going in with our chili paste. Stir it around until it starts to reduce down and it'll start to get kind of sticky and stick to the bottom of the pot. But that's okay, that's what you want. You want to just take a wooden spoon and just keep scraping those little sticky bits off.
We'll keep this on high heat.
It's on about medium high right now. I would honestly say that's one of people's biggest problems is that most people are scared to cook on a high enough heat. Brown food tastes good, and the only way that you can get that effect is by increasing the heat. As long as you watch your stuff, it's not gonna burn. Don't be afraid of the high heat. And then we are also going to add in our umami. Give this a good like 5 minutes or so. You want it to get pretty browned and cooked through.
Yeah. Starting to look like the best thing that ever happened to me.
And this should darken significantly in color. Like this is quite a bit darker than when we put all that stuff in. And that's really what you're after. We're all done with that. I'm gonna go ahead and pour in some more homemade beef stock we got here.
Ooh, buddy.
Start with 1.5 quarts, see how that goes. We can always add more later if we want to. We're gonna add a couple of bay leaves. And we're gonna go ahead and bring this up to a boil. While that's coming up, let's learn about tomatoes. Tomatoes aren't in season, you should always buy canned tomatoes. You really get what you pay for in canned tomatoes. What you really want to look for is a good high quality tomato. I always find that the quality of the whole tomatoes is best. I just crush them or dice them or whatever myself because they tend to use only the better tomatoes for these, where they use kind of the scraps and then pieces for the ones that are diced and everything.
I'm always about convenience, and the squeeze seems most convenient and most
Kind of satisfying.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a fun thing to do,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. Yeah. We're also going to add in some apple cider vinegar, a few tablespoons worth.
You guys can smell what I smell right now.
And I am going to add just a half a cinnamon stick. We'll fish that out at the end. Last thing, I'm going to add a little bit of cocoa powder.
Chocolate
About
milk?
a tablespoon. No, just unsweetened cocoa powder,
Okay.
which is not going to make it taste like chocolate or anything, just make it a little bit richer. Now we're going to bring this up, let it come to a boil, reduce it, let it simmer for a little bit. So here I just have some kidney beans, just a couple cans of kidney beans. A lot of times I like to use fresh ones. I didn't have time tonight. Canned beans work great in chili as well. We're gonna go ahead and add those in. All I've done is drained them, rinsed them. You don't have to add beans to this. If you don't like beans in your chili, don't add beans. I like beans, but not a ton. I use 2 cans. It's a big pot of chili.
He's super into protein.
Protein's good. We're gonna let those beans simmer in there for just a few minutes, but we definitely need a lot of salt. I know that because this homemade stock has no salt in it at all. I've already tasted this and it needs quite a bit. I took a little bit of corn flour, a couple tablespoons or so, mixed it with a little bit of cold water, and then I'm just gonna go in with that just to give our soup, let it thicken up a little, give it a little more body. Just stir that in, and you'll see it almost instantly start to thicken up.
Oh yeah.
Give it a little more of that chili texture, and that corn flavor is really nice, especially with the brisket. If you like your chili a little thicker, use a little more. If you like it a little thinner, use a little bit less. I like my chili to be a lot of meat, moderate beans, good amount of liquid. That's how I like it. You do it however you like it. All optional. Use whatever you like in your chili. If you don't want to use the cinnamon stick, don't use that. If you want to use crushed tomatoes instead of whole tomatoes, if you want to use chicken stock instead of beef stock, use that. Whatever you really want to do is fine. I will put the recipe for what I did in the video description down below, so check that out.
The best part about chili is it's never wrong.
It's never wrong.
But sometimes it's super right.
Adjust it to your taste. If you like it spicier, use more hot stuff. Do what you feel. I'm gonna let those beans get to know each other. Be back here in just a few minutes. I gotta give credit where credit's due. I don't always measure everything, but I'm keeping track so that I can give you guys this recipe. And I was like, I don't know. He says absolutely 2 pounds, and we weighed it. It's 2 pounds. He knows what 2 pounds of meat looks like. About 2 pounds or so of beef we're putting in here. Sounds weird, but you can't overcook meat in stew. So don't overcook it. We don't want to overcook it. Don't overcook it. If you remember one thing, don't overcook it. Man, just a little bit of brown sugar, maybe a tablespoon. Mine needs lots and lots of salt still. A little more cider vinegar. For sure needs some pepper. We still got a little ways to go. But it still needs more. Now we're good. Time to try it, buddy.
Oh my god.
You pumped?
I don't know why I'm wearing pants right now.
Squeeze a lime over a chili if you've never had it. That's how I eat all my chili these days. Give it a shot, see how we did.
Oh my god. The brisket is just, it's like a balloon of perfect flavor in there.
It's
and it
really,
just
really
melts
good.
in your mouth. It is so perfect. Oh my god.
There's a lot of flavor from the chilies in there. There's a lot of complexity to this. There's not that many ingredients.
Oh my god. Easily the best chili I've ever had.
It's a great way to use leftover brisket. I really like doing that, cooking these large chunks of meat and then repurposing it. You could do this at your house. More people need to cook their own food. It doesn't take that much time. And what do you get out of it? The reward is great. Thanks for stopping by. We'll have Kev back again. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep making your own food. Keep learning.